and welcome to another video. My name is Kaylee. I am an artist in the UK and this is week number 6 of me showing you the work that I've created this week. So I make these videos to hold accountability and I'm trying to make new habits and inspire you maybe to create work as often as possible and just to show you the sort of things that I've been doing. It doesn't all have to be perfect, doesn't all have to be final finished pieces, but just that practice of making art and how important it can be to look back on what you've done and really see what you've achieved. So being able to make like a full week's worth of work and filling up a sketchbook maybe. So we're going to go straight in, and this is the first spread of the week. So on the left and on the right, I think I've used similar colours. This looks like it was all watercolour and coloured pencil on the right. With these ones, I can tell that it was just a brainless activity. Sometimes when I doodle, I draw these like overlapping leaves, normally with a dark background underneath, and then the leaves over the top, just working on like how they would overlap in the shadows, using different colours of green. And then on this other side on the left, this was a lot of the green paint that I had left in my palette. Before I wipe the watercolor palette down, I like to make use of as much of the paint that's on there as possible. And so this is what I created. I remember sort of putting on these blobs, just pre-blobbing on the pages with the green colour, and some of it was coming out darker, and I think I had done this bottom section with these darker parts, and then it was with this extra darkness with the blue mixed in, I started to see a little landscape sort of coming together, and so I decided to just go with the flow, put it on, and then I decided to leave it. It's given me some sort of inspiration and some motivation for a painting, but I'm not sure what it is yet. So instead of drawing over the top of it or painting over the top of it, I'm going to leave it to sit there because I'm enjoying looking at it. It's sort of like an abstract landscape without meaning to be. And so I think I'm going to keep that and use that to inform like a later piece of work. The next page is inspired by our pond in the garden. Um, we've had some tadpoles move in, and it's been so interesting to watch them and to watch how they've developed in different ways. So some of them already have legs, some of them don't. Some of them have really long tails, some of them look very frog-like on the front, and it's just been really interesting to see them and to sort of interact with them and watch them go about their day. And it sort of got me thinking about ideas for like a little story. And so I decided I just wanted to doodle. I just wanted to draw some tiles and paint in them these little tadpoles and think about what they might look like if it was ever like an illustrated story, things like that. And so that's what this page is. I think there's a lot to go off here, just different styles, shapes, and things like that because they were all so different. But I really do enjoy looking at this because it's sort of an explosion of the thoughts in my brain and it's all inspired by my own back garden. This one follows along from that, where it was an idea that maybe thinking about like a bigger pond or like a lake. So we don't have these lily pads on ours, um, but just trying to imagine like these tadpoles, how they might live somewhere else. And I don't know if you can see, there is little tadpoles on here, these tiny little squiggles and dots. I think I must have started painting this and then my brain was maybe moving too fast. Having ADHD, sometimes the ideas just flow a little bit faster than I can keep up with. And so maybe I think that's what maybe happened. And then I was onto another idea. So it looks like this right now, but it might be a few weeks' time. I might come back and I might finish it off. I might never finish it. And that's just something that I am becoming increasingly more okay with. So this next one is actually with Posca pens, acrylic paint markers. And oh my goodness, they used to be my go-to before I found a love for watercolors and gouache. I used to use these all the time. Acrylic paint pens were the thing. And so this was really random. I remember I was on the phone, I had them next to me, and it was sort of just a quick, like a doodle. I think the I think the reference is from Pinterest, but I'm absolutely in love with this. I didn't know that I could create art like this. It's very wild, but also you can tell what it is, and I absolutely love it. I was distracted as well by being on the phone, and I just love the richness of the colors and how it's mostly lines and squiggles, but makes this beautiful piece. And so I'm definitely going to explore this a little bit more. These little boxes down the side, because I've spilled over the page, I just put those there because I thought that I want to fill this page, this extra bit. I didn't want to completely take over this whole double page spread, and I wanted to keep it the way that I had done it. And so I'll come back and I may finish these tiles, but then again, I might not. That's just the way that my brain is, and I'm becoming okay with that. These next pages were something I was trying to think of. Um, there's a lot of colours here, a lot of things going on, and I think I was maybe craving something a little bit more detailed, but I didn't know what. So I actually did the picture on the right first, and it just started off as a doodle, painted with watercolor paint, and then the flowers over the top are acrylic paint. And then I did the one on the left, which I think is a little bit better, but I think that it would have been nicer if I had have kept the same color scheme as the left of as the right, because I think there's a bit too much going on, too many colors, sort of it's too much for the eye. And I really love the texture and the detail you can see on these little flowers. I would have loved to have had them on the illustration on the left. So I might go back and I might add them in, but then again, I also might just leave it the way that it is, and that's absolutely fine too. So moving on to this next page, and this was a little bit different for me. So we went to the beach in a place called Whitley Bay, and it is beautiful. And there was this little tent sort of set up on the sand, um, where there was like a little bit of space behind, a little bit in front, and I just thought it was quite interesting. It was sort of this really deep, rich green colour, which is my absolute favourite with paints. And instead of painting like the coast, the sea, I was drawn more to this little tent with this background of like the stones and the colours behind it. And so I just sat and I painted it. It maybe took me about 10, 15 minutes. I was trying not to be precious with it. I love these colours that are a bit darker in the background, and it just made the tent stand out even more against like the sand, and the sand had like lots of stones, and you could see sort of the line where the tide had brought them all in, and I thought it was really pretty. The other page, I sort of started a little sketch and I just left these boxes there for me to come back to if I feel like filling them in. I'm okay with having these boxes in the sketchbook to go back and forwards with. So again, these boxes were drawn in advance and then I've just come and filled them in. Very dark this day, and yeah, this bottom one is actually a small thumbnail version of a bigger painting that I did in this sketchbook that you might see. And then the top one is actually the paint that was left on the brush. As I was painting the one in the bottom, I was sort of just putting these colours and shapes in as I was using a water brush just to sort of take the pigment off the bristles, and it sort of again started building this little landscape. Maybe that's like a spiky bush on the left or rocks on the right, I don't know. Um, but it does give this really abstract sort of look, which I really enjoy. Um, and I will continue to do this method because I really enjoy that, there's a landscape on the bottom and then like a thumbnail thing on the top. So this is the big one that I was talking about, and this one is also a print now in my shop. Because I had done the thumbnail first, I was able to see that the colours were maybe a bit dark and became a little bit muddy, and things didn't stand out quite the way that I wanted to. So sort of shifted where the light would be. It's more of a bright sunny daytime picture, but of the same location. This was a picture I had taken in the Lake District, and I absolutely loved this fence, this little fence that winds around in the front, because it wasn't fence posts, it was logs, logs from like trees that had fallen, and it was really wonky and lovely. It's cut off in this print, and I've worked really hard to make sure that it's all in there because I think that's my favorite part of the picture. And so this was a test print of me seeing how it looked, because obviously there's a crease down the middle. Um, I have made it into a print with the correct colours and with the little fence post being a little bit higher up so it is captured because I love it so much. So going back to the one that I had just skipped, this is another landscape painted from a reference in one of my reference books, and they're just so amazing. I'm going to link the book actually in the description because I think it's one that I always reach for. It's one I found in like a charity shop, like a thrift store, and it's the most amazing book that I've had for references. It's so inspiring. There's not many pages that you want to sort of like skip by because there's too much going on. It's just perfect, beautiful, and I would absolutely recommend it if you wanted to get into painting some landscapes and things like that. Whichever medium you're using, great references to use. So pretty close to the end now. The next one you have already seen. So then skipping to the only loose pieces of art that I've done this week. These were in preparation for an art market that I had that was at a stables, and I thought maybe I could incorporate some art for horses. And so I had a little go. I've never really drawn horses before, and so I just wanted to have a little try. And so I just used references from Pinterest for these three horses, and then I used some references from some photos that I had taken for the others. I drew them out on paper and then I scanned them and printed them again on like a hard cardstock. So if I painted them and it didn't work out, I still had the original. Then I had a go at drawing and painting a horse's eye, like a close up. And although it's not my favourite, it's still something that I'm proud of for experimenting with. And then this last one, I love how big the nose actually ended up. It looks like you could just squeeze it. But I do like it. So this is them all together, just really random actually, but just following that passion and that July goal. I've really enjoyed having a try of something new. But going back to my sketchbook, I want to show you this one that is my favorite one that I've done this week. I think it could be my favorite one so far of the paintings that I've done. Um, but there is a lot in here, and I'm proud that I've been keeping that consistency of painting and trying new things and just following different interests. And it doesn't always have to be landscapes. I feel a little bit freer within the art that I'm creating, and I am really proud of the work that I'm producing and filling up this sketchbook really quickly. I do have one ready to go. I just need to finish this one off. I'm about halfway through this one, so that's quite exciting. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you liked this style of video, I have 5 other weeks of the Art This Week series if you would like to watch them. They are on my channel, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye!